Hi everybody, this is Professor West for GMC and welcome back. We are continuing with Alice in this video and we will be resizing and positioning objects. So, I already talked a little bit about this, but there's some other things that we can do to help. So let's look over here in the Properties panel and let's click Resize. Now because I had clicked on the cat, the resize option works on the cat this time. If I click on this guy, now it would work on him. And there's several different ways that you can resize an object. So first, you can grab this little arrow thing at the top, and, well, if I missed it, there you go. And you can make it absolutely tiny, or you can make it pretty big, or anywhere in between. Like I said, sometimes you think you got it clicked on it, but it's not perfect, so you might have to play around with it a little bit. You can also click the character itself and move up or down to resize it once you've clicked on the resize tool. So if I leave it like that, it's going to be tiny. Another thing that you can do is come over here in the Properties panel and see where it says width, height, and depth. These three aspects pertain to my person here. And when I made it smaller, see how they all changed. Now most of the objects in Alice have to stay proportional. So for example, it won't let me make this guy 10 feet tall and only half as wide as he is now. That's not going to work. It's going to stay proportional, so as he gets shorter, he also gets narrower, and vice versa. There's a few in the shapes one. Boxes, for example, you can adjust one size, make it longer or shorter or taller or skinnier and so forth. But when it comes to most of the objects, you're going to have to keep these proportional. Now I could type in a number. Let's say I do a 1. And when I hit enter, it automatically changes all the rest of them. And if I do 0.4 for the width and hit enter, it automatically changes it back. And if I decide I want to go back to the original size, I can always hit reset. Okay, so now let's talk about moving them. I've already showed you a little bit about how you can move them with a procedure. So I can move it with the mouse. I can just, oops. Let's go up to default, get it back on the right stuff, click off of it. So I can move it like this, and I could try to align it. Sometimes it's difficult to align things exactly. So one thing we can do is come up here and click on where it says use snap. If you click on it, it puts these grids up here and it shows you that this one's almost all the way up to this black line, but this one's not quite up that far. So I could try to align them better that way. You can also use the coordinates. Right here where it says position X, Y, and Z, sorry. If you start in the very center of the screen and you go to the left, to the right, then it's a negative 2.32. If I go to the 0, then it puts it exactly in the center. Now that doesn't really look like the center from here, but if I adjust my screen a little bit, it is. That's exact center. It's from left to right. So now, if I decided that I wanted it to be 1, it's going to move over that way some. If I decided I want my X to be -1, it's going to move to the right, and so forth. Y is how high it is on the board. So 0 means it's standing on the grass. So if I do if I do 0.5, then he goes up a little, because he's 0.5 above. If I go minus 0.5, then it goes down into the grass. So for most of my objects, I'm going to want this one to remain 0. Z goes forward and backward. So -1 is where he's at right now. If I take the minus off, 1 is where he's at now, which means that right about here is the center. And you can also go to Snap Details, and you can see some of these other options here. You can see how far the spacing is, the angles, the rotation, snap to the ground, or you could turn it off by unchecking it again once you get it how you want it. Let me show you a couple other things. If I'm moving it, notice when I get close to the same as anybody else, it puts this green line up to let me know. And it has one that goes backwards and forwards as well. But that's to try to help me align it. So just one more thing that you can use. And of course you can always use the procedures like we said. So if my guy was back here and I wanted him to be on the same level as the cat, I could go to the procedures and do a one shot. And I'm going to say move and orient to the Cheshire Cat. And it puts it in exactly the same place. Then I could say procedures, move to, and I can have it move to some different places, or I could say move away from the Cheshire Cat, and I want to move away 1, so now it moves 1 down. So I mean, there's a lot of different options that you could choose here. It's entirely up to you, and of course you still have the undo tools and the redo tools, so it's entirely up to you how you want to move your people. There's a lot of different ones here. I recommend that you play around with them. Set the opacity. You can't really see, but now it's 50% instead of 100%. So it's kind of transparent. Let me set that back to 1. And now he's all the way there. So play around with these and have some fun. And just enjoy it. See what you can do. And that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.